Hi everybody, thanks for tuning in today. I'm Erica and this is Beginners Vinyasa Yoga. I call this beginners not necessarily because the class is easy, but because I don't expect to call out a pose and everyone know where we're going. So I do take time to break down poses in this class. If I do call out a pose and you know where we're going, that's awesome and you don't have to wait for me to get there. I want to remind everybody to always listen to your body throughout the practice, and if you have any existing medical conditions, make sure you check with the doctor before starting any exercise regimen. Today, we're going to have some time to work on balance, and we're going to get started at the top of our mat in a standing position. Your feet should be about hip-width distance apart, and go ahead and place your hands on your hips. Elbows pointed out wide to the sides of the room. Stand nice and tall at the top of your mat. We'll get started with a nice slow warm-up before we start building some heat in the body. So maybe bend the knees, put some movement in your body real quick, get out any jitters, and then stand nice and tall and still at the top of your mat, like this was the only thing you had to do today. Was stand with intention at the top of your yoga mat and focus on yourself. Find a point of focus in your room, something that's not going to move. And I want you to keep your gaze there for the next few moments. Press firmly into the outer and inner ball and heel of your foot. Gently press down to the hips to find lengths to the side of the body. Top of the head reaching to the ceiling. Give me a few deep breaths, breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. Keeping your gaze focused on that one object. Focusing on your breath. Move your palms to your sacrum, the bony part right above your buttocks. Fingertips facing down towards the floor, shoulders rolling behind the heart. Gaze is gently up towards the ceiling now. Giving a gentle pressure down on your sacrum to keep the chest lifted. And take some breaths here into the chest. Bring the hands back to the hips and lengthen the spine to the ceiling. Hinge forward at the hips until the chest is parallel with the floor and slide the hands down so you're in half lift. Draw the shoulders down the back. Stretch out through the crown of the head, gaze down towards the mat. Getting a nice lengthening in the spine here. Bring the hands back to hips. Draw the belly in and rise back to standing. Nice and slow. Take a second here, ground your feet to the mat. Slide the palms back to the sacrum, shoulders behind the heart. If you want a little more opening in the chest here, you're not feeling any discomfort in your low back, press the hips forward, shifting the weight into the heels, noticing how my chest still stays lifting to the ceiling. That's key. Belly draws in. Make sure you're breathing. If you're not comfortable here, take it a step back. Bring hands back to hips, find length in the spine. Nice deep breaths. We'll fall forward into half lift, so hinging forward, hands come down to the knees. And lower to forward fold, so bend the knees, let the belly come to the thighs, arms and head hang heavy to the floor. We'll take a few breaths here.
Shift the weight into the balls of the feet. Keep low belly drawing in. Nice and slow, one vertebrae at a time. We'll rise up to standing for a count of 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring hands back to hips. Step your right foot back to the center of your mat, and then heel toe the foot out to the outer edge of the mat. Find the length in the spine and turn on your core. Take a nice deep breath in through the nose. Exhale out through the mouth as we hinge forward at the hips. Chest comes parallel to the floor. Stretching out through the crown of the head, gaze down to the mat. Try not to lock out the joint in the forward leg, tiny micro bend in the knee. You can bend that knee even more if the hamstring feels really tight here. So again, we're lengthening our spine, we're adding a little sensation to the legs. Nice stretch, relieving stiffness throughout the entirety of the left leg. Draw the belly in and slowly rise back to a standing position. Step your right foot up to the top of the mat. Left foot steps back to the center, out to the outer edge of the mat. Inhale through the nose, find length in the spine. Exhale out the mouth, folding forward. Make sure your elbows stay pointing out nice and wide to either side of the room. Keeping the chest open. Creating greater space for our lungs. Enhancing our breath. Slowly rise back to standing. Step up to the top of the mat. Reverse your feet down through the floor. Lift right arm up to the ceiling and fall into Ardha Chandrasana, side bending to the left. Keep the belly drawing back to the spine and chin lifted from the chest. Inhale as you bring the arm straight back up to ceiling. Exhale, hand to hip. Inhale, left arm up. Exhale, side bend. Take a few breaths here. Keep that belly nice and active. Inhale, straight up. Exhale, hand to hip. Let your hands fall down by your sides and just roll your spine down to forward fold, bringing belly to thighs, arms and head hang heavy. Make sure low belly is drawing in, and we'll gently shift side to side. Nice and slow. Giving some time for the spine to decompress. Rise to half lift, flattening the back, hands to knees. And step into a plank position, bending the knees, planting the hands on the mat. Stepping back into a plank and dropping knees to tabletop position. Knees under hips and wrists stacked under the shoulders. Round the spine into cat pose, tucking chin to chest and holding here. Make sure tops of the feet are on the mat. In a clockwise direction, we're going to roll the hips up to cow. Notice I said roll the hips as if our hips are moving around a circle. In cow, our spine's arched, we're gazing up to the ceiling. And then we'll roll the hips back in spine rounds. So I know it may look a little funny, but we're really getting great rotation around the low back, relieving any stiffness down there. Relax into a tabletop position, so back is flat. Round the spine back to a cat position. Counterclockwise direction, we'll roll the hips up to cow. Roll them down to cat, round the spine, and relax back to tabletop. Lift up to the fingertips. Extend your right leg behind you, point through the toes, heel in line with hip. Holding here. Give me a crunch, drawing the knee to chest, rounding the spine, lifting the knee nice and high, and stepping the foot into lunge, ankle below knee. Manually place the foot there if you need to. Breathe in through the nose to lift both arms overhead. And exhale, holding here. Interlace the fingers and bring them to the top of the head, pointing elbows out to either side of the room. Keep the shoulders dropping down the back. And try not to press a lot of pressure onto your head. Keep the arms and hands nice and light. Focus on opening the chest. Inhale to extend the arms up to the ceiling. Exhale out the mouth to bring hands to the mat. Extend the right leg long behind you, point through your toes, and return to tabletop. Left leg extends, heel in line with hip, holding here. Give me a crunch, knee to chest, round your spine, and step the foot through to lunge. Breath in through the nose, both arms overhead. Exhale and pause here. Interlace the fingers, bringing them to the top of the head, keeping the core nice and active, drawing back to the spine for stability. Thighs energetically drawing towards the midline of the body. Do you notice a change in your balance as we play with the arms? Inhale, both arms up to ceiling. Exhale, hands down to the mat. Extend left leg long behind you, pointing through the toes, and return to tabletop. Bring elbows to mat into puppy pose. So elbows stacked under shoulders, palms face down to the floor. Hips stay over the knees. Head hangs heavy. Keep a lift out of the shoulders. And we'll take a few breaths here. Lengthening the spine. Getting a little added blood flow to our heads. Bring the toes together and settle into child's pose, hips to the heels, forehead to mat. If you're uncomfortable in child's pose for any reason, take it back to puppy pose. You're more than welcome to take puppy at any time at class. Whatever feels best in your body. Walk your arms over to the right side of the mat until you feel a nice stretch on the left side of the body, letting the head hang. Walk the fingers back to center and over to the left until you feel a nice stretch on the right. Walk fingertips back to center. Round the spine up to cat pose and settle into tabletop. Let's spread the fingers nice and wide, preparing for down dog. Tuck your toes onto the mat. Press into the feet and the hands to lift knees off the mat. Keep the hips lifting up towards the ceiling. Press into the mat to lift out of the shoulders, bringing belly back to thighs. Knees can stay bent if this is your first time. Take some deep breaths here. If knees are bent, you're more than welcome to try straightening one leg at a time, pressing heel to mat. Everyone taking nice deep breaths. Look forward in between your hands. Shift your weight forward and step your right foot into lunge. Again, manually placing it into alignment if you need to. Step up to half lift, so my left foot steps up to the top of the mat, hands to knees, back is flat. Lower to forward fold, belly comes down to the thighs. Don't be scared to bend those knees. And one vertebrae at a time, we'll round our spines up to a standing position. Take your time, there is no rush. Chin comes up from the chest last. Look forward, stand nice and tall at the top of your mat with hands on your hips, just how we started. Nice deep breaths. Let's start to pick up the pace a little bit, pick up our heart rate. Lower hands down by your sides. Lift arms overhead, Urdhva Hastasana. Lower to forward fold, belly to thighs, Uttanasana. Rise, half lift, back flattens, Ardha Uttanasana. Step back into plank position, bend the knees, plant the hands. Drop the knees to tabletop. Lean forward so shoulders are out past the wrist. Bring the chest down to mat, keeping elbows close to the body and hips come down last. Top of the feet to mat and hands under shoulders. Lift the chest off the mat to baby cobra. Make sure you're not pressing into your hands. Now press into the hands and to child's pose, hips to heels. Slowly rise to tabletop, hands in the knees. And lift the hips to down dog. So tuck the toes on mat. Send hips up, bring belly back to thighs. Knees bent or legs straight, it's up to you. Focus on the breath. Nice deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Make sure you're distributing the weight on your hand. You're not pressing firmly into just the base of the palm. Spread the weight to the top of the palm and distribute out through the pads of the fingers. Look forward and step your left foot up to lunge. Step up to half lift, flatten the back. Lower to fold, belly drops down to thighs. And rise up to standing nice and slow, one vertebrae at a time. Hands back to the hips, stand up nice and tall. That was one sun salutation, we're going for 3. Lower hands down by your sides, lift overhead. Lower to fold, belly to thighs. Rise, half lift, flatten your back, and step into plank. Drop knees to tabletop. Lean forward, shoulders out past the wrist. Bring chin and chest to mat, elbows close to body, hips fall down. Lift the chest, baby cobra, and press to child's, hips to heels. Slowly rise back to tabletop and lift hips to down dog, up to the ceiling. Focus on the breath. In through the nose and out through the mouth. Step your right foot up to lunge. Step up to half lift, flatten the back. Lower to fold, belly to thighs. And rise up to standing, nice and slow. Bring the hands back to the hips, find length through your spine. We've got one more time through. Lower hands by your sides. Deep breath in through the nose to lift the arms overhead. Slow breath out the mouth to find your fold. Belly comes down. Inhale, half lift. Exhale as you step back into plank and lower all the way down to the mat. Use your inhale to lift your chest, baby cobra. Your exhale for child's, hips to heels. It's okay if you lose the pattern of the breath, no worries. Take a few breaths here. And rise back to tabletop. Hips up to down dog. Focus on the breath. If at any time you need to find ease in your down dog, you can always bend the knees, keeping the hips up to the ceiling. And if you're tired and you want to skip a down dog, you can settle in child's pose. Look forward and step left foot up to lunge. Inhale as we step up to half lift. Exhale to fold. Draw out the inhale as you rise to standing. Exhale once you get to the top. And take a second of breath here, standing nice and tall. Dropping the shoulders down the back. Deep inhale, lift the arms overhead. Slow exhale, return to fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale as you step back into plank. Drop the knees to tabletop and pause here. Lift up to the fingertips. Extend your right leg behind you, pointing through the toes. And give me a crunch, knee to chest. Round that spine, lift the knee high, step foot through to lunge. Tuck your left toes onto the mat. Lift the left knee, lift the hips, hold it here. Press out through the left heel. Right knee stays stacked right over the ankle. When this knee is lifted, I want you to actively send your chest forward, draw the belly in. Drop left knee down to the mat and uncurl the toes. Again, toes tuck onto mat. Lift the knee, lift the hips. Actively send that chest forward. Draw the belly in. Drop knee to mat. Uncurl the toes. Last time, toes tuck. Knee lifts. This time, bring our hands to our right thigh and lift the chest up. Extend the arms overhead into Anjaneyasana. We're holding here. Right knee does not pass the ankle. If you need some ease in the extended leg, you can gently bend the knee. We'll open up into Warrior Two. So open up to the left side of the mat. Left heel rotates down and makes contact with the floor. Arms lower to shoulder height. Gaze is out towards the right middle finger. Make sure you're pressing firmly into the pinky edge of the left foot. And bring your hands to the hips. We're going to take a funky Warrior Two variation. Find length through your spine. Make sure your shoulders and your hips are facing the left edge of your mat. And slowly turn your head to look towards the back of the room. Nice deep breaths. Keep standing nice and tall like a warrior. Turn your head looking forward once again.
and straighten the forward leg. Bend the knee back to warrior two, lift arms to shoulder height. Windmill, hands down to lunge, left heel rotates off the mat. Step back into plank, drop knees to tabletop, hands are flat. Lean forward, shoulders past the wrist and bring chest down. Lift the chest to baby cobra and press to child's, hips to heels. Take a little bit of a breather here. Nice deep breaths onto the back side of the body. If you're familiar with other variations of child's pose, you're more than welcome to take any variation that you like. Slowly rise back to tabletop and find down dog, hips up to ceiling. Bring that focus back to the breath. In through the nose and out the mouth. Step your right foot up to lunge. Step up to half lift, flatten the back. Lower to fold, belly to thighs. And rise up to standing, taking your time, one vertebrae at a time. Standing nice and tall at the top of the mat. Lift arms overhead, deep breath in. Exhale, forward fold. Rise, half lift. Step back into plank. Drop the knees to tabletop and pause here. Lift up to the fingertips. Left leg extends behind you, pointing through toes. Give me a crunch, knee to chest, and step the foot through to lunge. Right toes tuck onto the mat. Lift the knee, lift the hips. Actively send that chest forward, draw belly in. Don't hold your breath. Lower knee and uncurl the toes. Toes tucked to mat, lift the knee, lift the hips, send chest forward. Right knee still over the ankle. Drop the knee and uncurl the toes. Nice strong legs. Last time, tuck the toes, get that knee up. Bring hands to thighs and lift arms overhead into Anjaneyasana. Open up into warrior two, opening up to the right side of the mat, right heel down to the floor. Gaze is out over the left hand. Bring hands to hips. Lengthen the spine. Slowly turn to look towards the back of the room. Looking forward once again. Straighten the forward leg. Bend the knee back into warrior two, lift arms to shoulder height, and windmill to lunge, right heel off the mat. Step back into plank, lower to tabletop. Lean forward, lower all the way down to the mat. Lift the chest to baby cobra. Exhale to child's, hips to heels. Nice deep breaths here.
Slowly rise to tabletop and lift to down dog. Last down dog of the class. Keep those hips nice and high. Focus on the breath. Step your left foot up to lunge. Step up to half lift. Lower to fold, belly to thighs. Go ahead and close the eyes for me. And keeping the eyes closed, I want you to rise up to standing for a count of 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let eyes stay closed. Bring hands to hips. Stand nice and tall. Root down through your feet. Just take note of what you feel in your body. There are no right or wrong answers. Gently open the eyes. We're going to move into some balancing poses. We'll start by shifting all the weight into the left foot. Lift those toes off the mat, spread them nice and wide, and then lower them back down to the floor so we know we're nice and stable. Place hands on hips. Draw the belly back to the spine. Don't lock out the standing leg, instead put a tiny micro bend. We'll start by bending the right knee, lifting it in line with the hip, holding it for 3, 2, 1, and lowering it back to the floor. If you can't hold for 3 seconds, that's okay. Just hold as long as you can. Don't hold the breath. Lifting right knee again for 3, 2, 1, and we lower. Again. This time, see if we can hold for 5. If you can hold for 5, try to keep holding. Interlace the fingers and take hold of the knee, staying here. Otherwise, you're still lowering and lifting, keeping your gaze focused on one object. If you have a hold of your knee, keep the glute of the standing leg nice and active. Lift through the chest. Let's all slowly lower our right foot down to the mat, and we'll keep it there, bringing hands back to hips. Switching sides, so weight shifts into the right foot. Lift up those toes, spread them nice and wide. Ground your foot to the floor. Bend the left knee, holding it in line with the hip for 3, 2, 1, and lower. Lifting again for 3, 2, 1, and lower. Again, you know the drill. This time, let's try for 5 seconds. If you can manage 5 seconds, see if you can grab a hold of the knee and hold it steady here. Otherwise, keep lifting and lowering. Don't lock out the joint of the standing leg. Don't hold your breath. Everyone slowly step your left foot down to the mat. Keep it there, bringing hands back to hips, finding length through the spine. Lower your arms down by your sides and make sure you're standing at the top of your mat if you're not already there. Take a nice deep breath in through your nose to lift the arms overhead. Exhale out through the mouth, lower the hands down by your sides. Deep breath in through the nose, arms up. Exhale,
Arms down. Last time, deep breath in. This time, exhale to forward fold, belly to thighs.
Inhale, half lift. Exhale as you step back into plank position and hold here. Don't hold your breath. We're going to hold here for 10 seconds, but if you're tired and you want to lower down to your knees, you're more than welcome to do so. Let's hold for another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Drop knees to mat. Lower all the way down to your belly.
Placing arms at your sides, palms face up. Bring toes together, let the heels fall out, and turn your head so you're resting on your cheek. Take a short rest period here. You can close the eyes. Just let go onto your mat. We put a lot of work in our body, so we just need to take a short intermission. Gently turn your head to the opposite side. Bring your chin to the mat. And then bend your elbows. Bring your arms underneath your head as if they were a pillow. Moving into frog with the right leg, we'll bend the knee, keeping it tracking along the floor. The more you bend the knee, raising it up towards your face, the more you'll open the hip. So it's up to you how much sensation you want to create in your body. Keep your ankle in line with your knee. And we'll take about 30 seconds on each hip. Chin can stay in center, or head can turn to either side. Slowly begin to straighten the right leg. Bending the left leg into frog, ankle in line with knee. If your head was turned to one side, turn to the opposite side. Slowly straighten the left leg. Place hands back underneath the shoulders and press to rounded child's pose. In rounded child's pose, arms come along the side, palms face up, forehead to mat. Shoulders roll down towards the floor. Slowly rise upright. Swing the legs around front so they're down the length of your mat, feet flexed, and sits bones firmly planted onto the floor. Lift your arms overhead, drop chin to chest, then slowly round the spine into rounded back stretch, lowering hands to the knees and letting elbows point out to either side of the room. One last time. We'll settle in here for a few breaths, allowing the muscles around the spine to relax, to relieve any tension they've been holding on to. On your next exhale, relax your shoulders away from your ears. Slowly straighten the spine. Place your hands on either sides of your hips to find length towards the ceiling before you relax back to neutral. Bend the right knee, placing your foot on the mat. Use your left arm to hug onto the bent knee and open into spinal twist, placing right hand directly behind you, gazing to the back of the room. Slowly unwind, turning back to the front of the mat. Straighten the leg. Bend left knee, placing foot to mat. Right arm holds on, open the twist, and look to the back of the room. Slowly unwind so that you can look forward and straighten the leg. If you're not already sitting in the center of your mat, shimmy your way there. Bend both knees, placing your feet to the floor, and place hands on the back of your thighs. One vertebrae at a time, roll down until you're flat on your back. Straightening your legs down the length of your mat. Letting the toes fall out. Take a breath or two in. Draw your right knee into your chest, into Appanasana. Interlacing the fingers, holding on below the knee. Pulling thigh close to chest and flexing the feet. This is a great pose to help release tension in the low back. Gently release your leg onto the mat. Draw left knee in towards the chest, feet flexed.
Gently release. We finish Uttanasana with both knees into the chest, feet side by side. Again, pulling thighs close to body. Place your hands on the back of your thighs and extend the legs up to ceiling into our inversion. Legs straight up. Heels over hips. Hang out for about 30 seconds here. This pose helps calm the nervous system as we get this fresh blood rushing to our head. If you need some ease in this pose, you can gently bend the knees, drawing the thighs closer to the body while keeping the heels elevated. Bend the knees, drawing them completely into the chest, lowering heels down to the body. Place your arms at shoulder height, out at your sides, palms face up. Let knees fall to the right into reclined spinal twist. Keep knees and feet stacked. Head gently turns to the left. And try closing the eyes here. This is our last pose before final resting pose. And we'll settle into some stillness. Recline spinal twist, where again, helping the low back to release. Adding a little bit of a twist to our belly, massaging our organs. Slowly draw knees back to center. Let them fall over to the left. Head turns to the right. Eyes are still closed. Draw knees back to the center of your chest. Wrap your arms around your legs, pulling them close to the body. Lift your head to meet your knees. Take a nice deep breath in. Squeeze your muscles nice and tight. Hold on to your legs. Squeeze muscles in your toes, your face. And exhale, release completely, laying flat on your mat, separating your legs and your arms nice and wide. Letting toes fall out, palms turn up. And the eyes are gently closed. And we'll settle in here in our final rest period. Throughout our practice, we work to tire our bodies so we can better focus on our mind and our thoughts. The easiest way to do this is just follow the pattern of your breath. Follow the repetitive, rhythmic rise and fall of your chest. Finding comfort in your stillness.
Slowly begin to deepen your breath. Start to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Bring movement back to your body. Gently roll over to the right side of your body, taking a moment of stillness on your side, perhaps using your arm as a pillow. Keeping your eyes closed or your gaze low to the floor, slowly press yourself up to a seated position. We'll end with 3 cleansing breaths together as one. We'll breathe in through the nose, holding for a beat at the top, and exhale smoothly out through the mouth. Start on an exhale. Inhale through the nose, filling up the body, holding at the top, and exhaling out the mouth. Inhale through the nose, filling up, holding at the top. Exhale. Last time, breathing in through the nose, filling up the body, holding at the top, and exhaling. Take a second to thank yourself and your body for getting you through this practice, and I thank you for letting me lead you today. Namaste. So thanks so much, you guys. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed teaching. I just want to remind everyone that here at UMBC, we've come to the end of our semester, and so this is the last day for group fitness for the spring semester. I hope to see you guys in person, or some of you guys in person during the fall semester. If you're interested, I think one of the biggest differences between my online classes and my classes in person is that there's music, and second, we're in a community and we practice off of each other's vibes. And it's a much different experience, and I hope to see some of you guys in the fall. Thanks so much. If this was your first time or you've been practicing with me through these weird online times, I appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day.